One Rifles have been taking part in an exercise on Sennybridge Training Area near Brecon alongside soldiers from the American Army. As well as coping with the hot weather, they've also had to fight off attacks from enemy forces, in this case their colleagues. Rebecca Ricks was there.
It's a training ground practically on the doorstep for Gloucestershire's One Rifles, but in January the settings were a little different. The temperatures well below freezing and the regiment were knee-deep in snow for Exercise Commando Rattlesnake in New York State. Now back in the UK, it's unusually warm and the Americans of the 10th Mountain Division have joined them.
Basically what they did was they took our platoon, integrated with one of their companies, and we're just basically working alongside them, trying to learn some of their tactics, using their tactics, and just trying to get the mission done.
For many of the 150 Americans here, it is the first time they have been on exercise in the UK.
I've lived in Europe, I traveled all of Europe, but I never came to the UK. I love it here. I'd stay here. I'll trade with one of these guys if they want to go back. Training area is a lot bigger. You get to learn actually how other countries do things compared to us in the US, and you learn a lot, so it's pretty fun. I enjoy it.
And it's not very often an exercise of this scale occurs within regiments, but it's an opportunity that provides the riflemen with comprehensive and varied training. I'm here on Sennybridge with One Rifles in the US Army, who for the past 36 hours have been conducting rural offensive operations. They are now midway through a route clearance and they could come under enemy ambush any second.
The scenario here is that we're part of a shaping operations for the battalion to enable another brigade to come through. So we're clearing this route Griffin, as you can see from here, to enable other G4 assets to come through for a subsequent operation. It puts you in a slightly stressful situation. It's something that we don't do all the time, so it just makes the soldiers be able to react and able to understand when they're pushing their limits. As you can see, it's quite a hot day here, it's very humid, and if the guys work through this, they'll come away with a real sense of achievement and the ability to do something they haven't done before. Working with the Americans is awesome, and I think most British soldiers would say the same. It's not really an unusual circumstance anymore. We worked with them in Iraq, we work with them in Afghanistan, and they fit in so quickly. So in this company we've got them integrated, so we've got 1 or 2 members in the sections in the platoon, and so far so good. Yeah, it's worked really well, and it's been really added a lot of value to the exercise.
No longer training for the war in Afghanistan, they are training for a future war, and that means going back to basics, fighting out of trenches just like this.
We've got the enemy call sign, which is A Company, plus the attached US unit are moving down, and they're doing a route proving operation. They've already taken out a couple of our forward positions that we'd got set out on different routes, and now they're getting ready to assault us within the trench system.
With the trenches heavily defended by fellow soldiers playing the enemy, the men of A Company snuck up on the trench, launching a swift and bold assault.
The company pre-spotted it this morning with their recce platoon. They got in quite close, managed to get the dispositions of the enemy, and then they made a covered approach for which the enemy didn't see them, and then they cleared through the trench rapidly. And from a training point of view, how are they getting on? Yeah, they're doing very well. It's very hot conditions, so pretty taxing on the guys, but they're pushing through and producing the goods.
For One Rifles and 10th Mountain Division, the exercise continues until next week before a spell of well-earned summer leave. Rebecca Ricks, Forces News, Sennybridge.